touches, please. Take the chance for me. And as I touch the sky, the hands will shoot the sky.
Okay. I'm here today with SHAWN James. You're not a metal musician, and could you tell something about you in the beginning?
Yeah. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and we've been touring Europe for about 4 years now with my band, the Shapeshifters, which is more of like a heavy rock and roll, stoner, doom, blues mixture. And besides that, I also do an acoustic side to what I do, which is kind of like a more folk blues, darker, raw, kind of soulful music. So it's two different sides to what I do musically.
As I saw on YouTube, on your Facebook page, in the comments, people that are listening to you are not from one genre, are not listening only blues or only hard rock, but there are some people from different musical worlds. A lot of people that are listening to metal music.
Yeah.
And how do you think, what in your music is so tempting for them?
I think, number one, me and the rest of my band all come from hardcore and metal backgrounds. So when we started this band, we decided we wanted to do something that was new by mixing all these different things that we were inspired by. So we might not be metal, but we're a mixture of... We might not be solely metal, but there's parts of the music that's metal, that's heavy, and then there's parts of the music that's bluesy, and there's parts of the music that are soulful with the vocals and different things. So I think it's because we came from a place of liking that kind of music already, and we used to make that kind of music, and so we bring elements of that to the music we make now. And I think that's why people like it so much. But you're right, there's not one genre that we just fit into, and it's not just one crowd. You know, and it's strange, I have grandmas, grandpas, sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, metalheads to folk people listening to the music. And a lot of it too, I think the lyrical content and the stories, I kind of gravitate towards a darker feel and a darker side when I write in general. So that's part of it, I think. And our shows, when they see us live, the way we move and act on stage as a band is very heavy. You know, we headbang, we're going hard, we're throwing our instruments around. So we brought how we used to be a metal band into a genre, I think, that normally people don't go as hard, but we take it there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. And what was in this particular music so interesting? What kind of darkness is in there that you decided to move on with metal to that sound?
You know, I love legends and mythology and folklore and a lot of like just darker imagery in general. And can you repeat the question one more time? What was the question again?
What kind of darkness made you to move from metal to that music you're doing right now with solo acts, right, with the Shapeshifters? Because they're different, but there is some darkness.
Yeah, I think it's the darkness comes from. You know, I was very inspired by old blues musicians like Son House, Robert Johnson, and people like that. And there's a lot of blues musicians that make like upbeat, happy blues, but I was always inspired by the ones who were like just dark and sang about maybe evil things and stuff like that, because I just naturally feel inclined to talk about that stuff. And when I write stories and when I write the songs, it always comes out in a darker way. And, you know, I was raised in a Christian household growing up in Pentecostal in Chicago, and getting older, I left all that behind, you know, and it was always very taboo and very wrong to talk about dark things or anything like that. So I think maybe that had an influence on me as well, you know. I can't say exactly what, but Yeah, I would say I've always kind of been inclined towards the darker style of music with the chords and the structure and everything like that.
When I was listening to your solo music, there's a vibe from, I would say, Louisiana. Have you watched that movie Harry Angel? Some parts of your music reminds me of that movie.
What's the name of the movie again?
Harry Angel.
I don't think I've seen it. No.
So what's movie maybe existing or not existing? What maybe from what genre of cinema would be best for your solo work or for your work with Shapeshifters?
I would say that when it comes to cinema and shows and movies and TV, it's always the stuff again that has that kind of darker feel. Like, do you know the show True Detective that was based in Louisiana? Exactly. So it does a lot of that swampy kind of darker vibe, or anything that's we've also had our music for the Shapeshifters placed on the Yukon Men on Discovery Channel, which is a show about survival in Alaska and places like that. So it's I would say anything that has that darker feel. Again, I know it's pretty common thread, but it's true. Like stuff like True Detective, or maybe Sons of Anarchy, or I don't know, anything that kind of has that underbelly of the darker side of life in general.
You have strong, deep voice. What are you doing to be in shape to get it better only?
So I get asked that a lot, like, because this year especially, I've been touring more than ever, like 200, 250 plus shows this year. And before, I never really cared about too much, but now that I'm touring so much is when I start to feel it and see it every day. You can feel something, hurting or whatever. And so I used to smoke, so I quit smoking beginning this year. And ever since I was little, a very little boy, I was singing. So the way I look at it is, just like a bodybuilder or a guy who works out his muscles, he doesn't instantly go to the gym the first day and lifts 500 pounds. It takes time to get there. So because I've been singing since I was so little, I feel like the voice is a muscle that's just gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. And then when I used to be a metal vocalist in metal bands back in the day, it taught me how to distort the voice, but without hurting yourself. So now that I'm doing this project, essentially what I'm doing is using everything from the singing voice, knowing how to distort it with metal vocals, but not really doing it all the way for screaming. But it's something that I've, especially with touring so much, I've had to be very careful about. Obviously, good night's rest is always good, drinking lots of water. I have these fisherman's friends, mints, that I use all the time. But it really, for me, I think it's just because I've been singing so long and my voice has gotten tough because of that.
As you said, you're on this tour with solo act with the Shapeshifters, and what kind of energy there's on your solo and your gigs with the Shapeshifters? How you would name them? What's the differences between them?
Yeah. For the acoustic side, the solo, more acoustic side, it's definitely more of an intimate, emotional kind of sadder, maybe dark, but in a more sad way, and also more beautiful at the same time. It's acoustic music, you know what I mean? I would say that it's more like heartfelt, you know what I mean, in an intimate way. Versus the Shapeshifters is like, it's like there's two sides to myself. There's that one side for the acoustic, and then the other side is like high energy, intense, heavy rock and roll, rowdy, and just very aggressive music, very balls to the wall, you know what I mean? So
are you reading some comments about your music on social media?
sometimes I do, yeah. I try to respond to people as much as possible if they message me. Some of them I ignore, obviously, because you never know. Some people just don't get it or whatever. But yeah, I do.
Because I've seen some hilarious comments on your YouTube videos. I have one of this. Yeah, I have one of this. Could you answer to it? Maybe maybe that people will We'll hear it. Okay. It's from Jbeagle 417. I don't know. It's from 2 years ago, and maybe
You want me to read it?
you read it.
Was this guy born from the vagina of a music note? Holy shit. That's a pretty good one, I will say. I love reading that stuff, and especially since people don't know me as an underground artist. When they first hear me, I think they're not prepared for me to sound like I do based on how I look. You know what I mean? And so I think it's very surprising, and that's fucking hilarious. But there's been other great ones. There was one, I was featured on World Star Hip Hop, which is like a rap hip hop website, and they posted a video called "Who Did That to You?" And it was a cover of a John Legend song. And one of my favorite ones, and there was just so many, but one of them said, "Oh man, I bet this guy drowned in pussy after this." Or there was one that was, "I had no beard, but after listening to this song, I instantly grew a full beard." Or that's hilarious to me. Yeah.
What's your answer to that questions?
Was I born from the vagina of a music note? No. I mean, I'll tell my mom that, though, and see what she thinks. But no, I don't think so, you know. No. I didn't really come from a musical family. They loved music, but none of them were very musical. I had a natural talent with singing, and then I was trained in it growing up in opera and in choir and in gospel churches, and that's kind of where I learned to sing. But no, I wouldn't say I was born out of the vagina of a music note. No.
Okay, it's been a pleasure to talk with you, and
thank you for having me.
yeah, I think after this interview we're definitely have more blues musicians in our channel. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
My evil take its course. 666, the number